I'm Lucas Reed, 32, a line cook in Pittsburgh, living in a shoebox apartment with a leaky faucet I've been too broke to fix. My hands smell of fryer grease and onions, but for weeks I'd been saving every tip, skipping coffee runs, and eating instant noodles to afford a $350 custom leather journal embossed with RJ for my dad, Robert Jenkins. He was retiring after 30 years running Jenkins Hardware, a Columbus institution, and I wanted to be there. To hand him something that said, "I see you, Dad." He used to carry a battered notebook, scribbling inventory lists or sketching shelf layouts, and I thought a new one, sleek and personalized, might bring back the man who'd taught me to swing a hammer before I could spell my name. The 12-hour Greyhound ride from Pittsburgh to Columbus was a gamble. My last $350, no backup plan, just a duffel bag stuffed with a change of clothes and that journal wrapped in tissue paper. The bus smelled of stale chips and diesel, the seats sticky under my jeans. My phone died an hour in, no charger, my fault for packing. In a haze at 3 a.m., I leaned against the window, rain smearing the glass, and watched the Ohio countryside blur past. My knees ached from the cramped seat, my stomach growled, but I kept picturing Dad's face when he'd open the gift. Maybe he'd smile like he did when I was 9, fixing my first bike chain, his hand ruffling my hair. "Nice job, Lucas," he'd said. That memory was my fuel through the endless stops, Youngstown, Akron, Canton, each one stretching the journey longer. I hadn't been home in 3 years. Life had a way of kicking me down, layoffs from a warehouse job, a girlfriend who left with half my savings, gigs that paid just enough to keep the lights on. My family, Mom, Ellen, older sister Hannah, younger brother Nate, and a rotating crew of uncles, cousins, and nosy neighbors never let me forget I was the disappointment. Hannah, with her corner office and perfect kids, was the star. Nate, the charming realtor, could do no wrong. Me? I was the guy who threw away a college scholarship to chase a music career that never took off. Every visit home was a roast, jabs about my dead-end jobs, my beat-up car, my wasted potential. Still, I saved for that journal because Dad's retirement felt like a chance to reset, to show I wasn't the screw-up they thought. Columbus hit me like a time capsule when the bus rolled in at dawn. Same strip malls, same faded billboards. I walked a mile to my parents' split level in a quiet suburb, the air sharp with early fall chill. The journal was tucked under my arm, my duffel slung over my shoulder. My boots were worn thin, but I felt a spark of hope. I'd surprise Dad, maybe bridge the gap that had grown between us. The house came into view, red brick, white shutters, the maple tree I used to climb. Music and laughter spilled out, the party already alive. I knocked, heart pounding, and braced for a welcome. Hannah opened the door, her arms crossed, a smirk, curling her lips. "Well, look who crawled out of whatever dumpster he's been living in," she said, loud enough for the living room to hear. The family failure, gracing us with his presence. Laughter erupted, sharp and cruel, like a sitcom audience on cue. I froze, the journal heavy in my hand, my throat tight. No, "Hey, good to see you," no hug, just a gut punch before I'd even stepped inside. I pushed past Hannah into the foyer, the air thick with barbecue smoke and the tang of cheap beer. The living room was a circus, Dad's employees, neighbors, my Uncle Ray with his booming laugh. Balloons bobbed in the corner, a happy retirement banner sagging over the fireplace. I scanned for Dad, spotting him by the mantel, whiskey in hand, chatting with his fishing buddies. He caught my eye, gave a curt nod, then turned back to his glass. No wave, no, "Lucas, you made it." My mom, Ellen, swooped in, snatching the journal from my hands without a glance. "At least you brought something that's not complete garbage for once," she said, her voice cutting through the chatter. The room laughed again, heads turning like I was the evening's entertainment. Uncle Ray, sprawled on the couch in a loud Hawaiian shirt, shouted, "Lock your wallets, folks!" "The leech is back." More laughter, louder this time. My face burned, my hands clenched. I tried to play it off, muttering, "Nice to see you too," but it was swallowed by the noise. I felt like a ghost, invisible unless they needed a punchline. Hannah trailed me, tossing barbs. What, still flipping burgers, Lucas? Or did you finally get evicted? I ignored her, weaving through the crowd, desperate to find Dad and hand him the journal myself. Instead, I wandered to the hallway, instinct pulling me to my old room. The door was gone, just a frame exposing a makeshift gym. A treadmill and weight bench sat where my bed used to be. My old Nirvana posters torn down, my stuff shoved into black trash bags against the wall. My high school yearbook peeked out. Spine cracked. Nate sauntered up, wearing my old denim jacket, the one I'd worn to every gig in my 20s. "Oh yeah," he said, shrugging. "We needed space for the gym. You don't live here anymore." His grin was all teeth, like he'd won something. I swallowed the lump in my throat and headed to the backyard, where Dad stood alone, staring at the stars. "Dad," I said, voice shaky, "I came for your party. Got you something special." I gestured toward the journal, now in Mom's hands somewhere inside. He turned, eyes hard. "You disappear for years, Lucas, and expect a parade? You're lucky we didn't lock the door." His words hit like a fist. I tried to explain, the layoffs, the struggle to stay afloat, but he cut me off. "That's what you get for drifting. You're the family joke now." Back inside, Mom, Hannah, Nate, and Ray cornered me by the kitchen. "If you want to be part of this family," Mom said, arms folded, "you owe $2,500 in back rent for all the years you mooched off us." Hannah smirked. Nate nodded. Ray clapped like it was a reality show twist. I laughed, thinking it was absurd, but their faces were dead serious. "Pay up," Nate said, "or don't come back." I grabbed my duffel, pushed past Hannah's attempt to block the door, and walked out. Ray yelled, "Good riddance!" as Mom slammed the door, the sound echoing in my skull. I stood on the porch, the journal still inside. My $350 gift, now just another thing they'd mock. The rain had stopped, but I felt drenched, heavy with the weight of being the family outcast. I started walking, no plan, just the need to move. My boots crunched on the gravel, each step pulling me further from the house I used to call home. I crashed at my friend Marcus's place that night, his couch a lumpy refuge smelling faintly of his dog, Rusty. Marcus, a bartender with a knack for listening, handed me a beer and let me vent. "They threw my stuff out, man," I said, voice cracking. "Called me a leech, demanded rent for a room they turned into a gym." He shook his head, muttering, "That's cold." My phone, finally charged, buzzed with notifications. No apologies, just group chat spam. Hannah sent a photo of my old mattress in the driveway, captioned, "Free to a loser." Nate added laughing emojis. I muted the chat, my anger hardening into something sharper, more focused. The next morning, digging through my duffel, I found a cardboard box I'd grabbed from the trash bins outside the house in my days. It was stuffed with old receipts, junk mail, and a folder with Lucas scrawled on it. Inside was a notarized loan agreement from 8 years ago, my signature next to Dad's. I'd almost forgotten. At 24, I'd inherited $35,000 from Grandpa's estate. Dad's hardware store was bleeding money, bad investments, a new Home Depot nearby. Mom, Hannah, even Nate had leaned hard, calling it a family legacy. I signed over the money, a formal loan with 5% interest, notarized to keep it professional. They sent a few interest checks, then ghosted. I'd raised it at holidays, only to get brushed off. "We'll sort it, Lucas," Dad would say, pouring more wine. Hannah would roll her eyes. Mom would start dessert. I sat on Marcus's floor, staring at the paper. 8 years, and they'd tossed it out like junk mail. I punched numbers into a compound interest calculator. $35,000, Addie. 5% was now $62,000. They'd called me a moocher while sitting on my money. I texted Nate. "Found the loan paperwork. Remember the $35,000 I gave Dad?" No reply. Hannah texted, "You're still on about that? Get over it." I called Mom, mentioned the loan. She sighed. "Lucas, stop being childish. Call later." Click, that was it. No more playing the good son. I Googled lawyers, found Karen Walsh, a no-nonsense attorney with 5-star reviews. I emailed her the agreement, old emails, even a photo of a check stub. She called the next day. "This is solid," she said. "With interest, you're owed $62,000. Want to talk to them first?" "No," I said, voice steady. "Send a demand letter. Make it official." Karen drafted a letter, crisp on letterhead, demanding $62,000 within 60 days or a lien on Jenkins Hardware. I paid her $500 retainer, signed the forms, and felt a strange calm wash over me. It wasn't about revenge. It was about fairness, about standing up after years of being kicked down. The family group chat went dead after the letter landed. No memes, no jabs, just an eerie silence. Then a text from Nate. "Lawyers Lucas, you're airing family business like a coward." Hannah left a voicemail. Just heavy breathing, then a hang-up. Mom didn't call. Par for the course. I went back to Pittsburgh, worked my shifts at the diner, the sizzle of burgers a steady rhythm. At night I scrolled X, half expecting a viral post about my betrayal. I kept thinking about the times I'd bailed them out, driving Hannah to a client meeting when her car broke down, spotting Nate $200 for emergencies, helping Mom repaint the garage. Never once did I hold it over them, but when I needed basic respect, I got laughter and a bill for back rent. The letter was my line in the sand. A week later, the chat exploded. Hannah posted a screenshot of the letter, followed by, "What is this, Lucas?" Mom left a voice note, 2 minutes of sobbing. "You're destroying us. How could you do this to your father?" Uncle Ray texted, "You're killing his legacy. Drop this now, you ungrateful punk." Nate's was blunt. "You're dead to me." I saved every message, every voicemail, building a digital paper trail. Marcus, over wings at his bar, said, "They're gaslighting you, man." "Don't fold," Karen called. "They're freaking out. Angry calls, no payment or counteroffer. We wait." I nodded, feeling a shift. For once, I wasn't begging for their approval. I was the one holding the cards. The calls didn't stop. Mom at 1 a.m., saying Dad was pacing, losing sleep over the business sale he'd been hyping for months, a deal to sell Jenkins Hardware to a local chain. Hannah sent a photo of Dad, slumped at the kitchen table, head in his hands, no caption, just pure guilt. Uncle Ray offered $2,500 to call it even, the exact amount they'd demanded for rent. I laughed, didn't reply. Even Dad's old cashier, Tom, texted, "Let it go, Lucas. Family's family." I ignored him. Then Marcus forwarded a video from a neighbor's kid, gone viral in Columbus group chats. Dad, in a sweat-stained tee, dragging a coffee table onto the front lawn, yelling at Mom, "This is because of your son." Mom sat on the grass, sobbing, while Hannah tried to stop him and got shoved aside. Not hard, but enough to set her screaming. Ray showed up, nearly swinging at Dad before storming off. Neighbors filmed, kids on bikes gawked. The group chat was a war zone. Hannah begging me to stop this, Nate threatening to find me, Mom texting, "We need you, Lucas, please." I sent it all to Karen. Through Marcus, I heard Dad's business partner was spooked by the lien threat, pulling out of the sale. The store, already struggling, was hemorrhaging suppliers. My loan, the one they'd buried, was now their undoing. I didn't answer their calls, not out of spite, but because I was done absorbing their scorn. Every freeloader jab, every eye roll, every time Mom took Hannah's side over mine replayed in my head. They'd made me the villain long before I sent that letter. I started woodworking classes, something I'd wanted to try since high school. Shaping oak into a small shelf felt like reclaiming a piece of myself. My apartment, once a mess of takeout. Containers, got a deep clean. I wasn't waiting for their approval anymore. I was building something new. The 60-day clock ticked down. No payment, no apology, just more noise. Karen filed the lien, tying up Jenkins Hardware's assets. The group chat went silent for 24 hours, then erupted. Hannah, "You've ruined Dad's life." Nate, "Hope you're proud, asshole." Mom sent a handwritten letter, formal and cold. "You misunderstood our humor, Lucas. This is hurting your father's health." I tucked it with the loan agreement, a museum of their denial. I met Hannah's friend, Lisa, for coffee. She'd texted, saying she was worried. Over lattes, she said. They claim you're punishing them over a joke. I laid it out. They called me a leech, threw out my stuff, demanded $2,500 for a room they trashed, and ignored a $35,000 loan. Tell me how that's a joke. She went quiet, then admitted, they didn't tell me any of that. I handed her an invite to my birthday next month. You're welcome. They're not. The lien hit hard. Marcus heard the store lost 2 major suppliers. The sale was officially dead. Mom called, voice raw. Lucas, we're losing everything. Please talk to us. I didn't. Words meant nothing without action. I kept working, sanding wood into smooth curves, saving for a shop of my own. My life was small but mine, no longer tethered to their approval. Lisa showed up to my birthday, a low-key barbecue at Marcus's bar. Co-workers, woodworking classmates, a few old high school buddies came, people who saw me as Lucas, not the family screw-up. We ate ribs, clinked beers, laughed without cruelty. Hannah sent a text that night. Dad's in the hospital. Stress. You happy? I called the hospital. High blood pressure. Stable, not critical. I sent a card. Get. Well, Dad, I'm open to talking when you're ready to respect me. No debts, no games. Lucas. Weeks later, Lisa called. Hannah's pregnant, she said. 5 months along. They're struggling, but she wants to reach out. I sent a card. Congrats on the baby. I'm open to a relationship built on honesty, not obligation. Let's talk when you're ready. No reply came, but I didn't need one. I'd said my piece. The lien stayed active, the store's future uncertain. Through Marcus, I heard Dad was working longer hours, Hannah picking up side gigs, Nate scrambling to save face with clients. Their world was shifting, not because I was cruel, but because actions have weight. I kept building, woodworking, saving, living. My shelves lined the apartment, each one a testament to my hands, my choices. Then a call from the hospital. Mr. Reed, this is Dr. Lee at Columbus General. Your sister Hannah's here. Minor complications with her pregnancy, but she's stable. She asked for you. My heart stuttered. She said to tell you she's sorry, but only if you meant what you wrote. I'll be there in 12 hours, I said, grabbing my duffel. The bus ride back was different. No journal, no expectations, just clear autumn skies. Hannah looked small in the hospital bed, her hand on her belly. You came, she said, eyes wet, you asked? I replied, sitting beside her. I've been talking to a therapist, she said after a pause, about why I treated you like garbage. I was jealous, your freedom, your courage to walk away from what we all expected. I'm sorry, Lucas, for everything. It wasn't a fix, but it was a start. We talked. No money, no debts, just us. Dad called later, voice heavy. I'm sorry too, son. I didn't see you. We're rebuilding slowly, with boundaries. I kept the lien, started a woodworking shop, and found peace in my own space. Some call it revenge. I call it consequences. At 32, I learned respect starts with yourself, and sometimes you walk away to find it. Ever been the family outcast? Share your story and subscribe for more tales of standing tall. You're not alone.